Welcome back to another edition of Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Corey King, and I'm here with RSU men's basketball head coach, Justin Barkley. Coach, appreciate you taking time as we're in season, but appreciate you coming in and just sitting down, chit-chatting with us. How you doing today?
Good, Corey. Thanks for having me.
It's always our pleasure to get a chance to talk some men's basketball with you. But let's go ahead and recap last year on another successful year, being able to make it to the MIAA tournament and being able to have three of your players being on the all MIAA, all conference list. Talk about your overall thoughts and recapping last year.
Well, obviously we challenged our team early on with a very demanding non-conference schedule. I thought it got us ready for what we was going to tackle during the guts of the season with our conference play. We took the number one team in the country out in Las Vegas to overtime in West Texas A&M. I thought that was a very good springboard game for us as we continued to build in the spring. Working with that group throughout the year, just to watch our steady progress, to win 11 out of 15 down the stretch in this league and finish fourth place after being picked by 9th or 10th. I was really proud of that group, and I think it's really, fed into a little bit of the belief with our guys returning this year, what we potentially could be and build on.
With being another successful year, we're moving into this year, and you didn't hold back on the preseason, being able to start the year strong as you did last year. You challenged your team again, traveling up to Montana. Talk about that journey going up to Montana and taking on some really tough teams.
Well, I thought our preseason, when guys arrived in mid-August, one thing I've really liked about this group, they've allowed me to push them outside their comfort zone. They've been very coachable. Their work ethic has been very consistent from day in and day out. And when you bring in some new players to go along with your returners, obviously the biggest challenge, how do you get them to mesh? And, to have that challenge like we did in Montana early on, to play those 3 extra games to start our season, it allowed us to come together for one as a team, and then obviously just kind of to challenge ourselves against very good competition. And 2 out of the 3 teams, came back from an NCAA tournament berth from the year before. To go 3-0 up there, to have a lot of guys step up and do a lot of different things well to overcome a little bit of adversity. I think it speaks volumes to this team and how ready they were to play opening weekend.
And, it's important to experience that early in the year as you're, traveling into the MIAA play. This team looks a little bit different than last year, as you had a really strong core of seniors last year that are now gone, and you have some new people stepping up and some returners, taking bigger roles this year. Talk about how the process of bringing in these new players and having them blend in with these, returners into making this culture that you have this year.
Well, I think anytime you're trying to bring in new pieces, your returners have got to set the tone. What are we about? What are our demands? What are constants within the program? Our seniors have done a phenomenal job of being very consistent. One thing that's made me very, very pleased is, I think Kofi Hamilton, Rome Marshall, and Sam Davidson have done an outstanding job from a leadership standpoint. And I'd be remiss not to probably add Caden Fry into the mix with that. Guys that have been with us for not 4 years, 3 years, multiple years. Those guys set the tone. I thought they led by example. They showed up to work every day. And something we talk about all the time in our program, we're looking for everyday guys. And those guys really set the tone, had a feel for what we were doing. And I think it made the transition for some of our new guys a little bit easier. And we had a very good spring. Guys came into work after having the year we had last year, finishing 4th in the league out of the 14 teams. I was very pleased that, we were able to kind of skip steps, but speed up the process of some of our chemistry. And our new guys have really stepped up a little bit quicker, to be quite honest, than I might have envisioned when we put the recruiting class together. But a lot of our credit goes to our returners have set the tone.
And you're talking about your seniors, and in particular, Kofi Hamilton is your lone player that's coming back from the All MIAA list and being honored with that. And he, played more of a hustle role, wasn't a guy that took up, the number wasn't called on offense as much, but this year growing into that and becoming that. How do you envision maximizing Kofi Hamilton this year?
Well, Kofi's unique. He's kind of our unicorn. He's kind of positionless. He's not a guy you run a lot of plays for, just with his work ethic and his understanding of the system and what we're running. Kofi is a guy that just finds himself into action all the time. He'll have a lot of games he'll have great production, but it's kind of a quiet production. Like, it's not like, hey, we had to run, five different entries for him. Like, Kofi just has an understanding how to play. Watching his growth and development as a young man into a player, to be quite honest, in my 15 years as a head coach is one of the true success stories. Just watching his game develop, and he's really our true leader on our team, and his guy that we rally around, and he sets the tone. Leadership is not just the most loud guy. He does it with just his play and his consistent, approach to the game day in and day out.
And he does a fabulous job, being off the court, being a leader, getting those guys rallied behind what you're believing in and what you want to teach and preach. But with that, him impacting these new guys that are coming in is huge for you as well, as you're trying to find different pieces to fit roles on your team. Who are some new players on your team that came in for the first year that we should be looking forward to as the Hillcat Nation?
Well, I've been pleased with all of them, to be quite honest with you. A lot of the new faces have come in. They've all produced in different ways. They all bring a different skill set. Andrew Mason's a young man that was highly touted and had a lot of offers on the table, but we were lucky enough he chose us. And I think his athleticism and understanding how to play, he's been coached at a high level. Jabron Anderson coming in as well, another junior college transfer, was named all-conference team in the opening weekend. He's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. He does so many things well from an offense and defensive standpoint. Can take on a lot of different challenges. And Bernard has started the season shooting the basketball at a high clip. And then I'd be remiss not to talk about Angus Ole. Angus comes in, just knows his role. His IQ is extremely high. And I've been very pleased with those four young men who have stepped in and really helped us in different games in different areas, not just scoring the ball, from rebounding to making plays for others to our defensive approach. So all four guys we feel very strongly about and the things they can contribute with.
And it's been really awesome to see these guys, step into these roles, and some stepping into bigger roles with injuries and just different things that happen throughout the year. But there's one thing that is consistent about Hillcat men's basketball is defense, and something that you preach heavily. And as many would say, offense and shooting may not travel well, but defense always does. Talk about what things that you do to instill that kind of importance into these young men. Well,
listen, the last 2 years probably hasn't met our expectations as a whole. I thought we've gotten better as the season progresses, and that's what you hope. And this team has bought in to that end. I think it's just got to demand it. And it's only going to go as good as guys that understand what we're teaching. And that goes back to our returners. I think it was important for us to get off to a good start on that end. Holding guys or holding teams to maybe a certain field goal percentage or points per game or rebounds and different things. We've just done a good job of, just being in the right place at the right time and not giving up on plays. And, I think it goes back to just buy-in. And guys are playing for each other. And that's something that if you can get that to happen, good things will continue to go.
And there's nothing like, playing these hard-nosed defense and being able to, keep these teams so low-scoring games and being able to, control the pace of the game through your defense. But on the offensive side, three-point shooting has always been big and it's continuing to grow. But a team like us, we're not notoriously known for shooting a large amount of threes, but quality threes and getting quality buckets. What things do you, try to teach your players and concepts that you try to teach your players to keep the flow of the game easy going?
Well, I think it's just important to just, feel, understand the time and possession where we're at in the game. If we're on a run or if we've had a couple of possessions that's not gone our way, understand and have a good feel for what's going on, what's a good and bad shot. I'm not one to, really say, no, don't take that shot. It's just, I think you communicate. You use the 8 to 10 weeks lead up. They get to understand the system, probably myself, what's a good shot. You try to instill confidence into certain guys and who are guys that you want to get looks for. But, I think I've been very fortunate to have unselfish kids that have come here that, what does it take for us to win? And I think if we trust the possession, the game, you're going to get enough touches. It's never about one person. And if we can continue to stay unselfish, good things will happen.
And speaking of being unselfish and having unselfish players, a young man named Evan Anderson came in last year as a grad transfer and gave you one great year last year, but now has transitioned into being on your coaching staff. Talk about what that means to you for a former player to join you on your staff and what he brings to you guys as a team.
Well, it's really priceless. He's a young man that can help you not only on the court, but even behind the scenes with the guys. Like, hey, this is what coach is looking for. And I was really impressed with Evan from day one. Very mature, IQ's off the charts for the game of basketball. I think his approach to life is disciplined. Just does a lot of things that you want. Hopefully, they can rub off on players that are coming in. Like, this is how you go about your day. And how do you tackle your day? How do you have success? Evan's a young man that just embodies everything that's about winning. He was unselfish. He could have probably scored more points, but he does what things you do in a box score that helps you win games. And just his approach to every day in the office, how I coached him last year. I was really lucky that Coach Boone brought him with us, and it's been a joy to be around it because they get to probably see me in a different light, that not just on the basketball court, that hopefully he's enjoyed.
And I'm sure he does. And we do, as Hillcat Nation, be able to get to know you and get to sit down and chit-chat with your team, about your team. But for another edition of Coach's Corner and for RSU men's coach Justin Barkley, I'm Corey King. Thank you for watching.